Welcome to Anime Out of Context, a comedy review show where a man completely immersed in anime culture torments his co-host, who is only allowed to watch the shows featured here. If you'd like to support the show, you can do so at patreon.com/animeoutofcontext. Alongside over 100 hours of exclusive bonus material, all episodes uploaded to Patreon are completely ad-free, even to non-patrons. Thank you for listening, and enjoy.
Hello and welcome to Anime Out of Context, the show where I attempt to explain the sometimes weird, sometimes wonderful, but always hilarious world of anime.
And that's my hole. It was made for me.
I'm Shaun Rollins.
And of course, by that, I'm talking about my lovely co-host. And I'm Remington Chase.
Oi. Hey. Oi, I am...
What? I'm saying you were made for me. That's a compliment.
I mean, in some ways, yes, but I don't know if I want to be described as a whole. It feels a little bit demeaning.
You don't want to be known as Remington's hole?
No.
On this grand 300th of episodes?
This is how we're starting it? With you comparing me to your special hole?
No, I'm not. Let's make this clear, all right? I don't want to be misconstrued. I'm not comparing you to my special hole. I'm saying you are my hole.
I don't like either connotation personally. Holes aside, Remington, it is episode 300. We just recently celebrated our 6-year anniversary, and timing-wise happened to work out. Now we're celebrating our 300th fucking episode of the podcast.
Hot damn. I've did enough reminiscing on our 6th year.
Yep.
But good God, it's a lot.
Yep. And because 300 is such a monumental number, and I've been accused of fucking up in the past, and forgetting what, some big milestones here and there, I made extra sure this time around, because, 300, much more important milestone than, 150 or 200 or 250, we don't need to talk about.
It's a bigger number, so it's more important.
Correct. And because of that, I put a lot of thought into today's episode. And Remington, let me just tell you, it's going to be a special occasion. And I can tell you right now, I think it has a potential to be one of our more popular episodes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Big 300, it's a big milestone, so people were like, oh, this podcast has 300 episodes, I wonder what their most recent episode is like. Maybe it'll be worth a listen.
And then they listen to it and hear all the whole talk, and they're like, what?
Yeah, they immediately turn off. That's it. It's like, so they're, wait.
This will have a great amount of downloads and a great amount of people immediately clicking out.
Yeah, we're going to get an uptick in bad reviews.
They're going to be like, what was all the whole talk?
Look, I just wanted to hear what these guys said about this anime.
I watch this I listen to this show with my 8-year-old son here for wholesome bonding conversation about anime. And what the fuck is this? To which I would respond, you should be a better parent. That's probably not a good idea.
But, yeah, no, Rem, I think this has the potential to be one of our most popular episodes, at least in a hot minute, because we are doing one of the most requested anime, ever.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. And it's one that people have been hounding me for literal years to come and have a conversation with you about, but I've been hesitant because, well, it's a little hard to, people wanted me to make sure you finish the whole damn thing, and on principle, I can't make you do that, because that's too much.
All right.
That's 48 episodes, good. I ain't doing that to you.
Holy shit!
Yeah, no.
Oh, mother of God.
Yeah, and...
holy fuck.
And I completely understand why they wanted me to have you finish it, because it's, a full story. But... I've said it once and I'll say it 1,000 times, forcing you to watch that much of anything will have negative effect. It could be one of the best shows you've ever watched in your life, but if I make you watch that much in a short period of time...
I mean, that's just a whole day of my life. That's 24 hours of content.
Yeah. And God forbid, I would never make you watch something for 24 hours straight. That would never happen, would it, Rem?
It was truly cruel and unusual.
Yeah, definitely had no lasting effects on my sanity. Never would happen.
Shaun, you gotta be careful with that sharp wit. You're gonna poke your eye out.
I'm gonna fucking kill you. I'm gonna kill you. Episode 300. That's it. It's the episode where Remington dies. That's it.
Dude, that would be such a good title, though. The one where, like, we do not say there's no anime in the title, just the one where Remington dies.
And I just jump through internet, time, and space and just fucking shank you. That's how it ends for the last fucking time. God, that would be a legendary end to the podcast. Like, that would be phenomenal. Horrible, but phenomenal. Like, God, could you imagine if something like Serial did that?
Oh my god.
It'd be very poignant considering their true crime, but
it's true.
Either way, and so no, I'm not making you watch the full thing. But what I am going to make you do is watch a chunk of it, because, you know, it's heavily requested, and theoretically, they're going to want us to revisit it and finish it eventually. So if I give you a decent-sized chunk now to get a good, strong opinion of it, when we eventually revisit it, we'll be able to get it out of the way a bit quicker, you know?
Yeah.
Because there's nothing worse than being like, hey, they want you to watch this 24-episode series, but I only showed you 3 episodes of it in the beginning.
Yeah.
I still occasionally get emails about Cowboy Bebop for that. Which, you know, I make mistakes, I understand, but I genuinely thought Cowboy Bebop would have had him sold after 3 episodes, because it had me sold, but hey, you know.
Yeah, it's how it goes.
You were neutral on it, so it's fine. But the important thing is, Rem, we're going to watch a good chunk of it, and it's episode 300, so I can do that.
Yep.
No consequences.
I understand. Look, I'm not going to disagree with the system, I'm just, you know.
You're just in it.
I'm bracing myself. I know what I've signed up for. I know it's episode 300. I know where we are. I'm just trying to mentally and emotionally prepare at this stage.
Completely understandable, Remington. And it's going to be interesting because today, Remington, we're going to be watching an anime that's actually an episodic series in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
You know what? Let me just ask you a question, Remington. How do you feel about Monster of the Week?
Oh, I think it can have pros and cons.
Okay.
Of course.
What specifically?
I think obviously like the pros, usually they're especially prominent on the creation side of things, where it's kind of the shonen version of a sitcom.
Yep.
Right? Where you're familiar with the structure of each week and you just need to change the variables to create that. And that creates a nice sense of familiarity. Hopefully the things that remain are things that you enjoy, and and you just get to see how those things you enjoy are modified depending on the variables changing, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think the biggest con is that it is less inclined towards meaningful senses of progress or growth or long-term consequences.
Mm-hmm.
There's been a large shift in any type of show from that more weekly style, jump in at any time, to more serialized shows where the consequences matter, where the story continues week to week, and you can't just jump in any week you want. And I think overall that has been a positive and good change, but I'm not going to say that just because that's a good change, I'm not going to say that that means that a Monster of the Week formula can't still work and can't still be interesting, fun, and successful.
Yeah, and just because it's Monster Week doesn't mean that there's not a overarching story either.
Well, yeah, but then there's just the asterisk of, like, is it, like, Sailor Moon, pretty Monster of the Week, and technically there's, like, some overarching story and villains and love triangles and stuff, but it's like, oh, fuck.
Yeah. Well, as you probably surmised, we are doing a series that is very Monster of the Week, right? Like, it's got a strong Saturday morning cartoon energy vibe to it, in terms of we have our cast of characters, they have a major end goal, and along the way to their end goal, they are harried at every step by a very colorful and varied cast of characters, and a whole wide variety of problems preventing them from reaching their said end goal.
Is this from, like, the 90s?
Roundabout, yeah.
Yeah, it sounds about right.
Yep. Originally written back then. The adaptation for this is a bit more recent, though.
Okay.
So, you know, you don't have to deal with, like, super old-school Fist of the North Star style visuals.
Yeah.
It is a very widely beloved series, and in the 48 episodes it presents, it does start and go to the end goal in a very straightforward manner. But that being said, I'm one of the few of the opinion that there are some episodes in the series that I don't super jive with, and if you were to skip them, you would be okay, simply due to the fact that it has such a strong leaning on its Monster of the Week category that if there's one or two episodes that you don't super enjoy, skipping them won't have you miss too much. Like, there are a few episodes here and there that are very key and very important that are worth watching, but there are some, like, interstitial episodes that, while they aren't technically filler, if you didn't watch them, you wouldn't be missing a whole lot. It would just be some additional situations and additional monsters that you may or may not have seen.
Damn, what a nice way to say that it's filler while also saying it's not filler.
Genuinely, it is not filler. However, I stand by the fact that it is very Monster of the Week adjacent, that you can watch it or not watch it and have a very similar experience. And it's not like there's loads of those episodes, right? In the batch I'm going to show you, there are 2 episodes that you're just going to be skipping.
All right, cool. Hey, love to hear it.
Yep. And it's not because that they're the worst episodes or anything. It's just because, like, these 2 episodes right next to each other, they have some fun things in them, like boats and water and whatnot. But I don't think they're as super relevant. Trust me, that'll make a lot of sense. That'll make a lot of sense later. Don't worry.
They have fun things in them, like boats and water.
Hey!
Oh yeah, the boats and water episode!
2 of them.
See, a lot of shows do beach episodes, but this one, it just had a boat and water episode. It wasn't a sailing episode, just a boats and water episode.
2 boats and water,
it.
thank you very much. Each one takes place on the sea. Because the goal of this particular journey is to get from one end of the planet to the other end of the planet, essentially, and deal with an issue over there.
Okay.
Right? And those 2 episodes that we're going to be skipping, they're fine. They have a few problems that I just don't think are worth addressing. And when I rewatch this series, I usually skip these episodes, right?
Yeah.
So this could just be my own personal bias, but I'm just like, I like the first 5 episodes quite a bit. I have a lot of fun with them, rewatch them every time. But then I get to episode 6 and 7, and I'm just like, I don't really care about these. They're not as inspired, I don't think. So, like, the coolest thing about one of them is not related to a character at all, really, and just related to the situation they're in. And that's fine, but it's like, hey, I can skip it. And then moving on to, like, episode 8, where it's at least a slightly different setting, and it's not just on open water on boats. You know what I mean?
Sure, so what the fuck are we covering?
What the fuck are we covering, Remington? That's a great question. So, Remington, the basic premise of this series is evil has awoken.
Oh, God. All right, we've gone from, all right, let's get to the other side of the world, let's sail some boats, to now evil has awoken. That's a total change.
It really isn't, trust me on that. Evil has awoken, and unfortunately, with that evil awakening, our main character has also awakened a bit of a fantastical, mystical power. And all of the members of his family seem to have awakened it as well. And this evil has a strong connection to his family. And unfortunately, while he himself is able to handle his powers very cleanly and very precisely, like, it's not affecting him, he's a very strong, strapping young man, his mother, who is not that, has awakened a power, and the power is just straight up draining the life out of her. And the goal of this series is to quickly get to where the evil has awoken, destroy him, so that hopefully the powers are, not running out of control, and they can hopefully save our main character's mother. And the episode of the week format is just literally them on their journey, getting from Japan all the way to Egypt.
Oh, okay.
Because that's where the evil is.
Yeah.
It's a classic story, and has one of the most fascinating power systems in anime history, actually, Rem. Because the power system that it has awakened has the potential to be just about anything, while also having some solid concrete rules and a stylistic design to it that has fascinated people for decades. And Remington, out of curiosity, do you by chance, you've probably heard of the power system?
Shaun, I feel, okay, you said Egypt and I got a little worried, and now I'm very confident that I know what's coming.
Tell me, Remington, do you know what a stand is?
God damn it. God damn it. God damn it.
Because Remington, you've probably guessed correctly, but for our 300 episodes, we are in fact covering part 3 of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Fuck. Dude. Oh.
Look, man, it was the most appropriate time.
All right. For those who need a little refresher on my journey,
it has been 5 years. Yeah.
First, feel free to go listen to those episodes. But second of all, part 1 I thought was complete and utter dog shit, so boring, so poorly done.
Yeah.
Part 2, I initially thought, holy shit, I'm gonna change my mind for the better for the first time on the podcast, and then it really fucked it after that. It started out very promising and then became very bad.
You slept on the couch for a little bit after that point because you insulted your girlfriend's favorite character.
It's true. Good old Cars.
Yep.
Who could have been an amazing villain and antagonist, and started out as one because he was like, I'm not here for the pageantry, I'm not here for the bullshit, I'm not here for the villainous monologues. I'm gonna show up, fuck you up, leave, that's it. I'm gonna get what I need to do. I am purely pragmatic. And I was like, oh, stone cold killer, yikes, that is terrifying. And then they're like, all right, and then he will reverse all of that, because turns out our characters couldn't deal with that sufficiently, so we need some more villainous monologues, actually. Otherwise, the protagonists are fucked. I'm like, motherfucker, god damn it.
And your other biggest complaint was it wasn't bizarre enough.
Oh, yeah, well, I mean, certainly. I have seen so much JoJo's, and it has been pretty bog standard shonen, if I'm being honest with you.
Well, let me tell you this, Remington. This is probably where it earns its bizarre title, in this part.
You have multiple times mentioned that this is like the arc where, first of all, like, the main magic system happens, like, stands.
Yep.
And that, which I had a lot of complaints about the magic system they've been using thus far.
Yep, Hammond.
Yeah, I think Hammond Energy has been fucking atrocious, but apparently that all changes.
Yep.
Now, I don't know, man. Oh, fuck.
Because the Monster of the Week formula, Remington, applies to this as our protagonist awakens as a stand user, which is...
Is this... Which JoJo is this? Is this, like, Leather Daddy JoJo?
Excuse me? Leather Daddy JoJo?
I'm just trying to identify which JoJo it is, man.
Okay, this is... he's the most iconic JoJo. He's the one with the hat.
Oh, he's at JoJo. Oh, you should have told me that.
Yeah. Well, here, I'll send you a picture of him. His name is Jotaro Kujo. You've seen him before.
He's a captain.
He's not a captain. That's a very stylized school uniform from the 80s.
It's a school uniform!
Yeah, no, here's a better picture.
The fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
Why? There's... Oh my god. Why does he have 2 belts?
Well, why not?
What do you mean, why not?
Because it's fun, it's stylistic. Like, Remington, when I say that part 3 is where things get bizarre, it's not just the power set, it's also the fashion. Like, fashion, like, JoJo is iconic for its insane fashion, and part 3 is where it really got started. Like, there was some fun things in part 2, but part 3 is where it really starts, and let me tell you right now, Jotaro's outfit here, pretty fucking tame in comparison.
All right, I'm gonna level with you, Shaun.
Yep.
So, part 1, hated all the way through. Part 2, I thought I was gonna change my mind.
Right.
I thought I was there.
Right.
But then it let me down. I think if I'm ever gonna change my mind about JoJo's, it's gonna happen now. It's now or never. And I hope that it's now, if anything, because I'm worried about the consequences in my love life if it's not.
Because I think I remember your girlfriend saying that this was her overall favorite part. So
I wouldn't know. Look, I listen to and love my girlfriend very much. If this comes up, it does get a little bit peanuts parentsy. where it's just like JoJo's, and that's not. Look, a lot of people think that's like a I hate my wife joke. That's not it. It's a I hate JoJo's joke. It's very different. It's a very different kind of joke.
Whereas me and your girlfriend endlessly bond over JoJo's. We have our favorite JoJo conversations. We've discussed what our stands could be. We've had all kinds of conversations.
And maybe this is the time that I join you. What would my stand be, Shaun, with my borderline lack of understanding about what it even is?
Oh, that is such a complicated question, Remington, because I haven't even explained.
All right, well, we'll answer in part 2. All right, part 2. Open up. You'll tell me what my stand is.
I might have a conversation with your girlfriend about it. And actually, you know what? I think I have had this conversation with your girlfriend about this. Actually, hold on. Let me just search my Discord real quick. I might. Let's see. Last time I talked about stands with, because I distinctly remember several years ago having a lengthy Discord conversation about what our potential stands would be. Because there is a formula to making a stand, Remington, and it's a very simple formula because stands can be just about anything. The one thing I will describe to you, let me just basically give you an idea of what stands are, right? So it's very anime in the fact that a stand is the raw manifestation of your will and personality. And it is called a stand because it stands beside you. Because it is essentially a super powerful, well, for lack of a better term, it's like a super powerful ghost or spirit that you summon to your side and can help you in combat or have any number of unique abilities.
So it's like when I was young playing Kingdom Hearts, and I would always summon the genie to wipe all the Heartless out around me.
Yeah, a little bit like that, but more frequently and more like tied to your personality.
So my stand is summoning Robin Williams.
And hey, look, if somebody's stand was Robin Williams, that'd be pretty great. The other thing about stands is they have a very interesting naming structure, right? Because JoJo's has always had a bit of a gimmicky naming structure. And eventually all stands are named after musical references, right? So your particular stand would probably have a musical reference that you personally feel connected to, or like an artist of some kind. And then the power would also kind of represent you at your personality in a lot of ways. It just depends on a lot of factors, and it inspires a lot of creative thinking and fascinating discussions amongst fans of the series, which I love and adore, and everybody enjoys brainstorming this. Nope, can't find it. Can't find it right now. I'll have a conversation.
Well, come back in part 2. That'll be one of the first things discussed.
Yes. And look, stands are fascinating, and what makes them so popular is that sheer customizability. But in part 3, all the stands are actually named after tarot cards.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so when they first awaken, they are all assigned a one of the major arcana tarot cards, and there's only one of each one. And eventually, after part 3 concludes, you've run through
they run the fuck out, and they're like,
yeah, when they run the fuck out and they realize more stands have awakened, then they start being named after their musical references.
Because that's JoJo's.
Yeah, oh yeah.
All right, well, hit me with the big important question. How many episodes?
Big important question. Well, Remington, like I said, you're going to be skipping 2 of them because that's what I do. I did a rewatch of it recently, and I'm like, I can skip these 2, it's fine. But I figured getting through its 48 episode series separated it into 2 distinct parts. So I figured knocking just shy of a fourth of it out of the way would be good. So in total, you're only going to be watching 9 episodes. So you're going to watch episode 11 is the last one you're going to watch.
All right. Okay. All right.
Not too much.
I mean, we'll see. Once again, maybe I'll change my mind. It almost accomplished this before. We've never on the podcast yet had me change my mind for the better.
Yeah.
Maybe for episode 300, it'll be the first time it happens.
It has a good chance of it because, Remington, things are strange, they are colorful, they are creative in a lot of ways, and you're going to see some buck wild fashion choices, some buck wild abilities, and it's a Saturday morning 1980s, early 90s Monster of the Week cartoon, just with a bit of a more seinen, shonen flair to it with a lot of violence. So,
do any little boys piss themselves?
No. No.
All right, it
No.
already has an advantage over part 1.
Yeah, hey, there's no Poco.
Poco fucking sucked, dude.
Everybody fucking all my homies hates Poco. Like that's just the nature of it.
All right, well, let's tear off the Band-Aid. Let's do this shit.
And I will tell you right now, the closest thing to a Poco is in episode 6 and 7, and we're fucking skipping those. So you're welcome, buddy.
Oh, man.
So without further ado, I think we should go straight into it. Let's go watch the first little bit of JoJo's Part 3, Stardust Crusaders. And we are back after consuming the first 11 episodes of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 3, Stardust Crusaders. Well, mostly, except for the 2 I told Remington to skip because I'm not a complete monster. And Remington, I'm not looking for a miracle here. I'm not looking to change the world. What I want from you, simply put, is compassion and understanding. I want you to be able to come out of this and say, hey, I at least understand why people are a fan of this series, or can see the sparks of what makes people a fan of these series, you know? Like, I just want some form of positivity, you know? Because this series means a lot for a lot of different people, and all in all, it's a fun little silly series about buff dudes with magical ghosts punching the shit out of each other, so, you know.
Sure.
Yeah.
But, I mean, before we do that, we did promise in part 1, Shaun, what the fuck is my stand?
Oh, fuck.
You had quite a bit of time to think about it in between parts, so I'm excited to see what you've come up with for me.
Okay, alright. What I've come up with you, and this is definitely me having thought long and hard about this, and definitely not me
very deliberately
things.
Considered here.
Very deliberately considered. Okay. So Remington, your stand, which is a manifestation of you yourself, your personality, your willpower, to say the least, is going to be it's a standard stand, so it's got like a humanoid shape to it, which is good.
Cool.
Keep things straightforward.
Sure.
Yeah. I think it is called Kids Bop. And the basic stand ability is simply a combination of illusionary misdirection followed up with a good strong bit of punching when they are looking the wrong way.
Just make them turn around and it's fucking sucker punches them.
Exactly, yeah. Because, Remington, you're a charismatic fellow, so your stand would obviously emphasize the fact that you are great at, luring people in, and also, you're a magician, but not like a cool sleight of hand magician, no. You're one of those magicians that fucks with people mentally. So, I think something with a little bit of illusions, a little bit of charm, a little bit of charisma, and then once they're nice and vulnerable, you hit them with the good old stand rush and you aura their ass straight to the high heavens. You kids bop them, if you will.
Perfect. With that, let's get started, shall we?
Are you satisfied? Did that do it for you?
Beautiful, Shaun. Absolutely tremendous.
Yeah, because it has to follow the music naming trend since, there's already one for every tarot card, so, gotta do that way. And, well, when I think of you, Remington, I think of Kids Bop a lot of the time. Mostly because the genuine music that you usually like, it doesn't stand out as much to me.
That's fair.
And stands and JoJo's is all about having things that, are a little over the top here and there.
Boy, Kids Bop is over the top.
Well, the way you use it is.
So, we open up with episode 1 of Stardust Crusaders, with some weird water. That's how we're opening. It's an ominous premonition. It is.
2014, and the studio that made this, their claim to fame is, well, it's JoJo's David production. They've made more since, but that it's the one that, people were like, oh, what David Productions do? JoJo's? That makes sense. They also made Cells at Work, if you recall that one, but that came much after this one. JoJo's is very much their claim to fame, where they started to learn and experiment with everything and properly do things. So yeah, the water's a little weird, I'll give you that. But at least it's a stylized weird.
It feels a little bit more deliberately weird. We have a fishing boat that takes up what they believe to be a treasure chest, because apparently none of them have ever seen a coffin before. In fact, later, when this fishing boat is found deserted with the coffin open, they're still looking at it and they're like, yeah, with this open box of some kind. This open box that would be perfect for laying the dead to rest within.
Well, to be fair, Remington, it's not coffin-shaped. It's shaped like a rectangle.
That's coffin-shaped!
Nah, see, coffins have that classical, bigger at the head shape,
I mean, some!
Yeah, see, that's confusion. And this particular series is set in the 80s, so, of course,
before coffins
they're not used to... Yeah, the coffins were only that shape in the 80s.
Oh, Jesus Christ. So then, basically, oh no, Dio is back. Because that's his character trait. Dio's two character traits are he's a spooky, edgy vampire, and he's back. That's the summary.
Well, I'll tell you right now, this is the last part he's back, so you don't have to worry about him in future. It's just during, so, 1, 2, 3 parts, and Dio's like, all right, I'm good. He was all in part 1, and then part 2, had to take his long ocean nap, and now part 3, here we are.
Oh man, so we cut over to our main protagonists, and we meet this part's JoJo, and this part's JoJo. He's been arrested, and he's a delinquent, a degenerate, right? He's an edgy boy. He's a punk rock edgelord. And how does that demonstrate in his character? He's an asshole. He's just an asshole. Thus far, there's not really anything else to his character. Well, I guess there's one other thing to his character that's sort of like a prominent subsection of being an asshole, and that's he's also a misogynist. JoJo's character in this arc is guy who's been listening to too much Andrew Tate.
Oh, dear God.
And that is a bold character decision. Not one I would have made, but that's the one they've made. So, Godspeed, I suppose. His mom picks him up, and JoJo's like, fuck you, Mom. He says he's possessed by some kind of evil spirit. He also is reading Shonen Jump, because he's a fucking weeb. Or rather, otaku, to give a better term.
Well, I mean, he is the delinquent trope of the 80s, right? Like, he is the one who helped establish a lot of that tropes and just amplified it to that extent. And he's got to have something to do in jail. I mean, he's the one who put himself in there, after all.
So, but this means that JoJo, not only is he an Andrew Tate fan, but he's also, like, verified on Twitter with an anime avatar.
Okay.
This is the character we are crafting here.
Okay, he's more than that. All right.
Oh no, I think I nailed it.
I don't think you did. I really don't.
I guess I can add he shops at Hot Topic if you feel like that adds some more dimensionality to him.
I mean, it's his school uniform, so.
The school does not require those belts.
Well, you're allowed a little bit of paraphernalia.
And so JoJo he says he's possessed by an evil spirit of some kind, and he uses that spirit to steal the guard's gun, shoot himself, but the spirit stops the bullet, I suppose. This is the only instance I think we have seen in all this time of a stand, which is what the evil spirit is, having a will of its own. Other than this, they are not really sentient creatures. It's just right now.
Well, they're manifestations of his will, so he doesn't actually want to die. He just hasn't quite fully gotten control over it, essentially. So his willpower is essentially coming in there and stopping the bullet from killing him, more or less.
I suppose so. It does seem... So basically, everybody has a stand, usually humanoid something or other.
Yeah.
Though sometimes can be something a little less than human, or sometimes it can just be a gun.
Yes. Like I said, that's why I said they're manifestations of willpower and not just spooky ghost dudes that get summoned all the time. Because, you gotta have some fun and flexibility. The standard stand form is the humanoid stand, though.
I can't help but feel that the stands not having any, like, personalities of their own, it's to its detriment. Because, I mean, basically what they're doing is Digimon, right? They're just doing Digimon, but where the Digimon is it's Pal World's Digimon. It's just your slave.
Okay, this came out way before Digimon, Rem.
Sure, but the parallel, I think, still stands.
Oh, dear.
Pal World to Digimon, that's what we have here. Which, unfortunately, I think you lose a lot of storytelling elements and ingredients that could be there. Nonetheless, we have JoJo's mom. Her name's Seiko, I believe, and her dad, which is Grandpa JoJo, the JoJo from last arc. You remember the racist one?
I'll never forgive the Japanese.
He was only racist at the very end.
Well, he was racist at the very end of the last part, and boy, oh boy, let me tell you, he's still racist.
To the Japanese specifically.
Well,
he's fine with everybody else. He's just upset with.
I would have you rewatch their episodes in India, and you may. Perhaps his racism is a bit more generalized than I was initially led to believe.
He is also from the 40s. He is also a little more from the 40s. So, look, Joseph is great except for the racism,
So we have racist grandpa and misogynist grandson. Truly the set of protagonists you want in a shonen. So he shows up with his friend Abdul, who are like, evil spirit, oh man, we think we know what's going on. So, as they show up, meanwhile, in the time it's taken for them to show up, JoJo's demon, his evil spirit, has brought him an RC card to play around with. Sure, okay. The demon trapped within JoJo attacks the others, but that's when Abdul summons a ripped-ass firebird.
Yeah.
Who traps and burns JoJo, but then JoJo's spirit, which is kind of just like a Pillar Man, reveals itself.
It does have very Pillar Man energy, doesn't it?
Oh, yes. It reveals itself, fights the bird, the fight is called off. Then we get this huge-ass exposition dump for the rest of the episode, and it is not good exposition. It's, alright, so Dio is free, and we are all part of a family, and now we're connected to Dio because he took great-grandpa's body, and so there's a link between us all, and the credits start rolling, and they're still just doing exposition, right? It's not like a fun little character moment to end the credits. It's like, no, but we do need to keep explaining this stuff. We need you. Alright.
We gotta get the premise and all that shit out of the way first so we can actually, get things going. And yeah, it's a bit clunky, but hey, it's there, it's done. It's for people who skipped part 1 and 2. Really.
Episode 2 opens up and it's like previously on, and then they just reiterate all of that exposition again. That's the only part they want you to take away from this. And then they cut over to Dio, who's like, in case you haven't been listening, here's my deal. I'm gonna give the same exposition, but now I'm gonna say it. Some might say that that's a bit much and not wildly necessary, and also, to put it nicely, a bit clunky. But thankfully, that's the only previously on bullshit that we have. It's just that one, which thank God.
Yeah, no. As soon as they get all the straight up boring exposition out of the way and establish what's going on, then it fully settles into its storyline monster of the week situation where they're gathering allies and going to actually deal with the Dio situation. And that's where the show really starts to, show its personality a bit more.
Yep. So, episode 2, after all that, it opens up with a bunch of girls fawning over JoJo. But JoJo, because he's such an alpha male on his Sigma grind set, is like, fuck you, women.
I mean, it's primarily because he isn't interested at all in them and wants them to leave him alone, but they won't.
That's the Sigma grind set.
I don't know what that means. I genuinely do not know what that means. I've heard it so many times, but I do not know what it means, nor do I think I care to.
You just need to get more involved with the manosphere, like JoJo.
No, God. No.
See, a lot of people, there's going to be a lot of listeners, right? Including, like, a lot of JoJo's fans who are, like, who loved this JoJo. But as they're hearing my description of him, are going to be like, God damn, I wish I could disagree more. But I can't. Because it's unfortunately quite accurate.
Oh, dear.
So we see this artist boy in a peripheral scene, and he's drawing JoJo, and then he swipes some red paint across JoJo's shin, and JoJo starts bleeding, and he's been attacked. Could have just done the throat. Because he does want to kill JoJo, but I guess doesn't because...
Well, it's not him drawing the slash that causes the cut. That's just a stylist thing.
Sure. All right. Could have sent his stand to slice JoJo's throat. That statement is still very true and valid. And unfortunately, I mentioned this in the past with JoJo's. It's an ongoing problem where JoJo's has awful villains. It has such bad villains because none of them want to win. Not a single one of them is interested in actually accomplishing anything. So every time you have a villain and it's like, yes, I am super powerful, there's no way you can stop me. But maybe if I, like, give you a little bit of assistance, bud, maybe, like, I won't kill you right away. I'll give you some time. Like, you can figure something out, bud. Which does make the villains less intimidating and bad. It makes them bad. Because why do I give a shit then? You build up some interesting sounding villains, but then you remove all of their danger. Because you're like, yeah, they could have killed all of our protagonists very easily multiple times over. But what if they just didn't? For funsies. It's like, okay, sure. So JoJo is attacked. He goes to the nurse to get all fixed up. He treats her badly because she's a woman. That's right. And then the nurse starts to go crazy, and it turns out she's being controlled by this strange tendril. She stabs a student in the eye, and then attacks JoJo, and JoJo is like, holy shit, this is too strong for a woman. I wish I was joking, but that's his thought process.
Yeah, it was written in the 80s.
Once again, there's a lot of people who are like, God damn, I wish I was able to disagree with Remington on these points, but yeah, JoJo in this arc is just kind of a misogynist. Look, it's a product of its time, and it's one that doesn't hold up in this regard at all. And so we see that the artist boy, this is his stand, Hierophant Green, and it's just this strange little tendril humanoid monster thing that probably has the coolest design of any stand thus far.
I could agree with that. I think it's pretty neat.
Though also, like, its introduction is like, oh, it can possess people, it can control them, right?
Mm-hmm.
We haven't seen that again at all.
Oh.
Which feels like it would be insanely useful. There's some opponents that, oh my god, it would have been astoundingly powerful against them. But
I mean, it's a little hard to get off, and to be fair, Araki forgets things. He forgets things very quickly. He's not like Oda. Oda remembers everything. Araki forgets most things. I think, like, the in-world justification is it would be difficult to capture another stand user because they could probably see it coming because it's a full humanoid-sized stand, and that would be tricky. But, you know, and possessing random humans isn't exactly a nice thing to do. Because Kakyoin is kind of in his evil phase at the moment.
Sure, I guess so. But, like, there's a really weird depiction of evil people and how they should be treated. It essentially, a lot of times, it follows... how to put this without being wildly offensive? It
I don't know.
follows bad fundamentalist Christian logic.
Oh dear.
where no matter how much harm you cause or no matter how evil you are, if you say sorry at the very end, then you're good. You're fine. And that happens a couple times, and it's weird every time.
Well, to be fair, in Kakuin's case, it's not exactly his fault.
Sure, but that's still a principle that holds throughout.
Well, only with the main crew. After the main crew are done, it's not exactly a reoccurring thing.
Well, even with some other characters, like there's one we'll get to later who says, "Hey, yeah, sure, sorry, my bad, I fucked up," and it's like, "All right, yeah, you're fine," and it's only when that villain attacks again that then they finish him off. It's so straight. Basically, the lives of civilians is given very little weight, which is weird. That's a weird moral choice. So we have Hierophant Green, this creepy tendril monster, possessing the nurse. JoJo combating this nurse, and he's told, "Oh, if you remove Hierophant Green, then it'll kill her." And so JoJo's like, "All right, I can't pull Hierophant Green out of her, so I'm gonna kiss the nurse and kiss the demon out of her." What? Excuse me? What the fuck is this moment? What the fuck is this?
I mean...
This is such a weird...
Well, I mean, he uses it to quite literally pull the stand out with his teeth. Because, why not?
But that's still just removing the stand.
Well, removing the stand by, like, if you try to pull it out in a normal, conventional way.
If you try to pull it out with your hands, she'll die, but if you plant a little smooch first... What are you talking about? Anyway, then they do a fight. So Hierophant Green, he has an Emerald Splash attack. That's his main attack. Meanwhile, JoJo, his stand, it can punch.
Yeah.
That's his, it punches. Here's the thing though, right? So JoJo's stand, it's super powerful and super fast. That's its thing. The problem is, it's built like all the rest of the protagonists. So you're like, look at this insanely powerful thing. And it just looks like every other dude. Which kinda makes it lose its luster. And also, there's no reason for every protagonist in this arc to be built as fuck. Because they're just people. They are very mortal. Unlike the previous two arcs.
I mean, they're like that. Because buff dudes fighting with ghosts are cool.
Sure, but but then when you're like, look, this ghost's thing is that it's super fucking buff. It's so fucking strong, and then it looks like anybody else. You kind of lose your special thing. Like, all right, sure. Fortunately, thus far, and very weirdly, so JoJo is not a good character in any way. He's extremely bland, and the only things interesting about him are actively bad. His stand is also easily the least interesting stand. But the show actually seems to kind of realize that, because very soon, it focuses on its ensemble cast, which I think is a strong decision generally. Like, JoJo, in the 11 episodes we see, once the crew, gets together properly, say after episode 4 or 5, JoJo has, one episode where he's mostly the main character, but usually it's focusing on the other characters, which I think is a good decision. I think thumbs up on that one. I think it's a double thumbs up because, one, ensemble cast focus, very strong for building up the other characters. And two, because JoJo's is a trash character, and so it's nice to have him be sidelined. So JoJo, he wins, kicks ass of Hierophant Green, and thus, because you're intimately linked with your stand, if you beat the shit out of the stand, then you beat the shit out of the user. Mm-hmm. So knocks out Artist Boy, brings him back home so the others can look, and they notice that he has a weird growth, a weird little, they call it a flesh bud on his forehead. Mm-hmm. Episode 3, they analyze it, and they realize that this is Dio's flesh bud that is mind controlling this guy. Then they have a really weird comment. They're like, man, Dio is so fucking charismatic. What?
I mean, he is.
But this, he's like, man, Dio can convince anybody to do anything. Through flesh buds? Mind control? That's not charisma. Fleshy mind control is not Riz. That's not what they mean.
Well, he only uses the fleshy mind control on the people he doesn't convince.
I guess.
Because I'll tell you right now, the only people with flesh buds that I can remember are Kakyoin and Polnareff.
God damn it. Oh, no.
And some other characters later down the line, yeah.
So they set it up as kind of the default, and then they're just like, come on, man! Come on! Fucking hell. Anyway, real weird notion of charisma. Then it's like, all right, but you gotta be careful removing it, otherwise he'll die. And then JoJo just removes it, no sweat. And they're like,
well, I mean, it fights back.
It does. They're like, oh, it'll either kill him or take control of you. And then he removes it and nothing happens. There's not a lot more to it. Like, they're kind of like, oh. But yeah, nothing happened. So it's just kind of, careful, it's dangerous. Okay, did it. Cool. Okay. So then they talk to Kakyoin and they're like, hey, what's the deal, bud? And it's like, mind control, it's crazy. And so they're like, all right, cool. The next day, Seiko, the mom, is gone. Oh, wait, what's going on? They find her passed out with a fever, and then they realize, oh no, her stand is activating as well. And now, let's talk about something else, fellas. It ain't just our protagonist who's a misogynist. Unfortunately, just the show as a whole. It's an 80s show. All the big strong men, when their stand activates, oh yeah, you're damn right, they're ready to kick some ass. For the woman, when her stand is activating, it's too powerful for her. It's gonna kill her, actually. It's, she can't take it. It's kinda...
There are lots of female stand users as well, Remington. It's just...
But it's not great that you're just like, here are all these super strong guys. The woman, thus far, all the women in this show are just there to be sex objects or damsels in distress as victims. Those are the only two categories we have seen this whole time in 11 episodes. That's not great. And yeah, I understand like the reasons why. It's in it's from the 80s. It's Shaun is for young men, and because we have culturally told these young men for so long that women are weak, useless, and powerless, they're no longer interested. And what are we gonna do? Try to change that? It's rough. It's not a good. It's another thing that it doesn't hold up in modern times.
No.
And that is wildly unfortunate.
Well, it's accurate for the time period, though, that's for certain.
Unfortunately. It's one of those things, like, I think a lot of people, to flesh out an argument against me a little bit more, that like I just touched on, but I think some people will double down on it, as if I don't understand it, because I see that quite often. I'm sure you've seen this happen quite a bit, where people will be like, I think Remington doesn't get X, when I certainly, they have to assume I'm ignorant of something. Sometimes I address it very clearly, sometimes I just touch upon it. But if I don't flesh it out clearly, and sometimes even when I do, people are just like, no, he doesn't understand this very basic thing to understand. And I'm like, I do, that's just not helping your point. On the note where, okay, it's shonen, it's for young men. And young men it's always been male-focused media kicking ass. You want to see male-on-male action. One thing that was very similar for the longest time was something near and dear to my heart, pro wrestling. Pro wrestling, similarly, it cultivated primarily male audience, and still largely does, though it's diversified significantly more. And so the women's matches, while they existed, they were usually done exclusively for the male gaze, and they weren't there to be action-packed romps. They were there, look at the pretty women, all right, cool, moving on. But especially in recent years, they've realized, oh, if we start investing in giving a shit about the women, showing that they can kick ass, showing how talented they actually are, then even the guys in our audience will enjoy those matches. Not because, ooh, look, pretty women, but because, holy shit, talented people putting on interesting stories. It is not an inbuilt thing that you can't have powerful women in media for men. Like, that's not some biological innate quality. It's just something that, unfortunately, has been reinforced for decades and decades and decades of media, and now it is the lazy default. Change is possible, fellas. Now, it often requires, like, effort and quality writing, but it is possible. Alright, now, moving on from from that note. The mother is dying. Oh no. They realize Dio, he's in Egypt. They find out he's in Egypt, and then Kakyoin is like, oh yeah, that's where I saw him. It's like, oh.
Yep.
Yeah.
Probably could have skipped that step.
Then what the fuck were we doing this whole time? Figuring out.
To be fair, he did suffer several head traumas all at once. Like, I can forgive him a little bit for not being like, oh yeah, no, he's in Egypt. When they're like, hey, wait, I think I see something. Let's analyze this photo. Blah, blah, blah. Hey, look at that. Hey, oh yeah, that bug can be found in Egypt. That makes a lot of sense. I was like, oh yeah, that's where I saw him. They could have said that, but I'm gonna give him the okay on that one because, you know, the head trauma.
I suppose so. Another weird, possibly the weirdest moment, bizarre, if you will.
Yeah,
that happens. They're taking care of the mom who is feeling like very sickly, right? And Grandpa JoJo is taking care of her because, you know, he's her dad. And as he's doing all of this, the mom grabs a pair of her panties, looks at her father, and in a teasing, almost flirting manner, is like, are you going to change my underwear too? And her son is also in the room. Mind you, what the fuck? Maybe don't do that. Maybe never do that. I don't. What the fuck? Some of the writing decisions are truly baffling. And you can try to come up with like some sort of like justification for that moment, but if anybody out there is going to say, oh no, that moment needed to be in the episode, it adds to it, actually. You're out of your fucking mind.
Rem, genuinely, when I did my rewatch for this, completely forgot that happened.
Yeah, it's
completely
right, because it's just such a weird
characterization.
Yeah, it's bizarre. Anyway, they're like, all right, let's go to Egypt. Let's find Dio. And then we also get to hear the end song, which is one hell of a choice. The end song is just "Walk Like an Egyptian," which is an insane choice. Neither good nor bad, but I appreciate the audacity.
I mean, considering how heavily rooted the characters and designs and themes are in classic rock, of course they're going to do that. I mean, the previous end song was Roundabout by Yes, so might as well.
Yeah, but that fit like the tone a lot better.
Yeah.
This does not fit the tone. It fits Egypt. Yeah. But tonally, it's jarring, but jarring to such a degree that I can almost support it. So, episode 4, we'll try to speed up a little bit, because good God. Episode 4...
Because, like, we're fully in Monster of the Week territory.
Yeah, now, by this point, we enter Monster of the Week. Most times, we get introduced to a new thing. Cool. Sounds good. They're on a plane, and on that plane, there's an evil beetle. And they're like, oh, fuck. And this is the Tower of Grey. Because each thing, given a color, given it major arcana. Oh, JoJo's, his was given the name Star Platinum. Which, I gotta say, possibly the worst name out of almost any of them. I'm trying to think of, I guess Magician Red is also trash. That's Abdul's. Hierophant Green, that's nice. That's crisp, right? Tower of Grey, simple, but yeah, that's fine. So Tower of Grey, this little beetle, they try...
What about Hermit Purple?
Oh, I've not seen Hermit Purple. I don't know shit about Hermit Purple.
Yeah, you do. It's Joseph's stand. It's the purple vines.
Oh, okay. That's so fucking stupid. All right, that one's bad. All right, maybe quite a few of them are bad, actually. All right, weirdly, 3 out of the protagonists set are really bad. But they're like, we gotta handle this beetle. Normal citizens, they cannot see the stands, right? They don't know what's happening. And so they're like, all right, we have to do this without endangering anybody. Summon Star Platinum, go for a punch with your super speed. But already, the beetle is too fast. Here's where you fuck up. One of the 2 abilities that JoJo's stand has is super speed, alright? It's okay to have something faster than it. That's okay. In fact, you probably should, at some point or another. It being the first villain you find, not a great indication of, like, your main power. Where it's just like, look at me, look what I can do. Oh, actually, alright, I couldn't do it there, but, like, maybe later. They are like, we need to handle this, and the beetle just casually murders a bunch of people in cold blood before eventually, at first I'm like, alright, they can't catch this beetle, and they look around, they make a comment, they're like, alright, one of these has to be the stand user, and I'm like, oh, okay, so now they're going to be like, we need to find the stand user, handle them, because we can't take care of the beetle. But then they just kill the beetle pretty easily, and so...
I mean, I feel like the way they dealt with it was Hulk, right? I mean, since Star Platinum couldn't quite hit it, because I mean, have you ever tried to punch a bug? Pretty difficult in my opinion. But using Hierophant Green's tendrils to kind of surround it and set it up and make it impossible for it to properly dodge.
Yeah, but it felt like it still could have dodged. And also, it's definitely a case where it could have almost certainly killed at least one of the main characters, but just decided not to, because basically every single villain probably could have taken out at least one of the protagonists, but just doesn't. But they're able to trap it, kill the bug, and they're like, oh shit, but the pilots, it already got to the pilots, they're dead, so we need an emergency crash landing. Alright, hopefully we can do it, and we skip ahead, they did landing, it's all safe.
They didn't have the animation budget. It's still a young studio. They barely got the approval to do part 3,
It's just like, holy shit, alright, hopefully this works out. Okay, so it all worked out, thank goodness. I was a little worried for a moment, and it's like, oh, okay.
Plane crashes are expensive to animate without CG, my guy.
If you don't have the budget to animate it or have a clever workaround, then maybe you shouldn't be making it.
That's not how licensing right works, unfortunately, my guy.
Maybe it's a bad... I'm not saying, like, this isn't a moral judgment on anybody. This is just saying the quality of the show is worse for it. And that's unfortunate. So they're like, all right, we just won't fly again so that we avoid that situation. As if you are safe in other modes of transportation, which, spoiler alert, they are not. For some reason, in their head, they're like, if we do something on land or by sea, it'll be nice and safe and secure. Nope, not.
Yeah.
Homie, oh no, my stand is a fucking iceberg. Bye-bye. Like, you're gonna...
Well, hey, let me tell you, we skipped the sea ones, so
yeah.
Like, the main reasoning is, it's much easier to defend yourself on land or on a boat than it is on a plane, as evidenced by the fact that, the plane did nearly, go down, and the chances of they're probably going to most likely be over land rather than over water, and it's a little hard to do a safe landing over land with a giant jumbo jet.
Well, yeah, but you say like over land than over water, but I mean their next thing is over water immediately after this.
Yes, but like I said, still a little better than a plane. Less chance of catastrophic failure, I would say.
I don't know if I agree. Like, oh man, look, these people are drowning instead of a sudden death. Is that better? Is that preferred? So at the very end of this episode, we meet an evil Frenchman who, his stand is a swordsman, a little like robotic swordsman. Him and Abdul fight each other. It's not a great fight. I mentioned this before. It still has the same problem with JoJo's. Super move versus super move versus super move. It has all the fun of two guys showing up with guns, taking turns shooting them at each other, and not like moving or interacting at all. Not wildly interesting. Abdul eventually wins and decides that he's going to let the Frenchman live because the Frenchman wanted to burn to death. It's kind of a weird scene. Turns out the Frenchman, he has a flesh bud too, and so they're like, hey, want to join our team? And it's like, cool, all right. And then the Frenchman is like, oh, by the way, here's my backstory, actually, and I need to avenge my sister, and I'm hunting for this guy, just so we're all on the same page. It's like, oh, okay. Nice and natural exposition, thank you. And then we have the 2 episodes that I skipped.
Yep. I can give you a brief summary of them if you like.
I looked up the brief summary. And so basically, like, they go on a ship. Oh, surprise, surprise, the ship is attacked.
Yep, by the captain of the ship.
There's a lascivious orangutan who pervs on a child?
Correct. You can see why I wanted to skip that episode.
Woo! JoJo's not dodging the misogyny allegations. At least this was a villain, I guess.
And I mean, the stand itself was cool. It was a stand that converted a small boat into a full tanker. That the whole tanker was the stand. That's cool. That whole aspect with that child side character, wildly unnecessary. She's basically the Poco of the series, which is also why I skipped it.
Yeah, episode 8, where in Singapore, I meet this sassy child who is not relevant in these episodes, though is around.
Correct, yes.
Kind of.
Yes.
She's in the background of episode 8. They leave her in episode, 9 or 10. But she's stowed away anyway. She's coming with. But then we don't see her in, episodes 10 or 11.
Correct, yes.
Even though it made an emphasis to be she's coming with.
Yeah.
Very odd. Once again, a lot of the decisions made in JoJo's, I'm just kind of so why? Why did that happen? And I think, once again, a lot of it's a product of its time. It's just the demands of shonen, and a weekly serialized style. It's not an ideal environment for cohesive narratives. Episode 8 in Singapore, our Frenchman is attacked by a guy that was just hiding in the fridge.
Yep.
The Frenchman, Polnareff, he's able to defend himself, slices this guy, but the guy he loves it. He's a masochist. He's like, oh, fuck yeah, now you fucking done it. Now you're fucked. And there's a creepy doll that was in Polnareff's room, and that is the stand, basically. This creepy doll. And hey, fun to have a nice maniacal doll there that most of this episode is going to try to torture and kill Polnareff. Polnareff does call his friends and is like, hey, I confronted a stand user, and they're like, all right, let's meet up and talk about it. Because this is a really dangerous one. Abdul's like, oh, you don't want to mess with this one. And then Polnareff gets trapped and captured by the doll and is getting tortured and attacked in his room. Meanwhile, all of his friends, they meet up and they're like, weird that our lovely French boy isn't here. I know that he called about getting attacked by this extremely dangerous fellow that we don't know how he works, but I can't fathom why he wouldn't meet us down here. I can't think of a single reason. He'll probably show up at some point. They just don't give a shit, I guess. I feel obviously go to his room. The most obvious thing. That's where you would find any clues, right? You want to check up on your boy, make sure he's okay? This does not occur to a soul.
Well, you gotta remember, Joseph is British, so, and the whole British-French thing, it doesn't always work out that way.
What about Abdul or Kakyoin or JoJo or younger JoJo? What about any of them?
Well, But if they do that, then we won't have Polnareff in an unfortunate situation to watch.
I just wish that they had written any justification for any character choice ever. Just give me a crumb of of sufficient reasonable justification, and I would adore it. Anyway, eventually Polnareff is able to handle it, kill the puppet, bada bing, bada boom. It's handled the same way a lot of fights in this Monster of the Week style work, where it is, oh no, you're fucked, you're gonna die, you're gonna lose. You could have died 20 times over, but now you'll actually die. And then the hero is like, actually, what you don't know, and what the audience also doesn't know because it was not foreshadowed or implied at any point, is that I've been preparing this whole time. So I was pretending to be afraid, but now I win. And they do that so many times. It's not a great trope to do once. That's their default setting.
What did you think of Polnareff's stand name?
Let's see. It was something Chariot, right?
Silver Chariot.
Silver Chariot. A bit plain, but not actively bad. Middle of the pack, we'll say.
Okay.
And then the puppet was just, I think, just the devil. I don't know if it got a color.
Yeah, they didn't.
Lame. Cowardice.
Yeah.
And then we get to episode 9. They're still in Singapore. At the very end of episode 8, it was implied that Kakyoin, he is a traitor, actually. But, like, I don't know, he had to be mind controlled to go against them, so, like, that's probably not the case. There's probably more to it.
Yeah, probably.
That being said,
I'd say.
Someone tries to, in episode 9, rob Kakyoin, steal his wallet, and Kakyoin goes fucking off on this motherfucker. He just attacks him, brutalizes him, and JoJo is eventually like, hey man, that's a bit much. Then Kakyoin is like,
excuse me, it's the Ebony Devil is what the devil was.
Oh, okay, that's better.
Yeah.
Better than just the Black Devil, which could have been problematic.
Much worse, yeah. Much worse.
So JoJo stops Kakyoin, is like, that's a bit much. And then Kakyoin is like, hey man, it's just, I'm a little stressed, that's all it is. And then he, like, eats some beetles from a nearby tree, and is like, fucking delicious. The little girl is like, what the fuck? And JoJo's a little bit sus of Kakyoin, and then Kakyoin is like, hey, buddy, and then pushes JoJo off a balcony. JoJo catches himself, and he is like, alright, hey, maybe Kakyoin is bad right now. So he punches Kakyoin, and Kakyoin's jaw unhinges.
But Remington, you're skipping over the most iconic scene from that episode.
Oh, the cherry, I guess?
How do you feel about cherries after that?
I don't know, it felt wildly unnecessary. I feel like JoJo's is a show written for specific moments without a lot of care of how you get from moment to moment. And that's to its detriment. Turns out that this Kakyoin, he's a yellow slime monster. Yellow Temperance, which also kind of trash, but what are you going to do with Temperance anyway? Temperance was fucked no matter what it was going to be.
And I mean, hey, it's like a stand that's a big yellow slime, so.
Yeah, and it can absorb. JoJo goes to attack, but he gets some slime on himself, and the guy's like, you're fucked because it will devour your flesh. It has no weakness. There's nothing you can do about it. JoJo's launches off, and the guy is like, here's the great thing. I don't even need to be around you, all right? This is fine for me because you're going to get eaten by my slime anyway. I can do literally anything. I can go enjoy my fucking day. You're fucked. Time is ticking. With nice, interesting premise, right? So now, after the villain has established that he's leaving JoJo alone because he doesn't have to interact with him, and that JoJo's is fucked, dear listener, what do you think happens next? A, JoJo joins up with the gang, and they have to figure out how to save JoJo before it's too late against this seemingly unstoppable force. B, JoJo, desperate, tries to handle it himself, hiding it from the others, but in his desperation, eventually reveals it, and Abdul has the perfect Deus Ex Machina solution. Or C, the villain shows up anyway, and then puts himself in a bad situation where he can easily lose. Yeah, it's C. Why? He had won. He got it. Why are they so bad at this? Why? Look, I understand. It's compelling to be like, here's your protagonist. How are they gonna get out of this one? Insurmountable odds that they need to overcome. But if you have bullshit solutions every time, then I don't care about the insurmountable odds. because there's just gonna be some bullshit that happens. It's been an ongoing problem throughout all of JoJo's. Nonetheless, JoJo's easily wins soon enough, just by kicking ass of the stand user. Kinda lame. Episode 10, they go to India. Where Polnareff, he is attacked by a stand that exists in the mirror. It's actually another really cool design. This and Hierophant Green are the two best designs. This is just a fucked up mummy creature, right? And I dig it. It's real solid, well designed. It attacks Polnareff. Polnareff runs away and then separates from the group. Abdul is like, you're gonna die, this is a dumb decision, but Polnareff is like, hey, fuck you, bud. We get this weird tangent about a child bride and a cowboy drifter. The drifter is working with the man with two right hands that killed Polnareff's sister, and that's he has the mirror creature. Polnareff confronts the cowboy, who is named Whole Horse.
Yep.
Hold your horses.
Yep.
They talk a bunch of shit, and then they fight. Whole Horse, he's the one with the stand that's just a gun, and the bullet. Both of them are a stand.
Yep.
Alright, that's the worst design. That's... And it's the Emperor, too, which is so unfortunate, because the Emperor should be something fucking dope, right? It could be something so fucking cool, but it's a gun. That is a wasted opportunity.
You'll never guess what the sun stand is.
Oh.
And guess which episode we'd skip in the future.
No! The sun! Oh, God. So, they fight, and Whole Horse, he's working with the man with two right hands, and so he's using mirrors as well to his advantage. He can control the bullet, and then, just as Polnareff is about to die, Abdul saves him. But then Abdul is actually stabbed and shot, and he's actually dead. Oh my God. JoJo's, I think, look, it'll about once a season have a meaningful or semi-meaningful death. Now, some might say that Abdul, like, out of the main crew, he was destined to die. Because unfortunately, he didn't have a lot of character to him. But, hey, there's stakes. Out of all the episodes I saw, episode 10, it's a pretty good episode. Alright? If everything was like episode 10, minus the weird grandpa being racist against Indians thing.
Right.
Then I would enjoy it. In fact, I enjoyed it even before Abdul died, but after Abdul died, I was like, okay, this is a good episode. Polnareff, is like confronted by Kakyoin about it, but Polnareff is like, I didn't ask for him to show up and save me. He's dead because of his own choices, and he's like avoiding blame, but he actually, like, he's crying, and so obviously he feels guilty about it. Solid character moment. Holy shit. A good episode. I didn't know it was possible, but it's a good episode. Episode 11 dips back a little bit. Unfortunately, not quite to the heights of episode 10. Kakyoin and Polnareff, they run away, and the mirror creature, which is the hanged man, he attacks. He exists only in mirrors, and so they figure that out. They're like, okay, if we avoid anything reflective, they figure out that the hanged man jumps from reflective surface to reflective surface and can even jump into the reflection of somebody's eye, which is an interesting choice. They find a way to stab it, which is a little bit like, whatever. There's a weird scene with a bunch of homeless people in their eyes and using a coin to make it work. Part of it is creative, a part of it's really stupid. It's a mix of both. But they're eventually able to kill the man who killed Polnareff's sister, get vengeance, and then they confront the cowboy and are like, you're gonna be fucked. The cowboy has a perfect opportunity to easily shoot one of, if not both of them in the skull. Because they're just like turned around and he shoots like away from them. And it's so he can like break glass, so he can work with the mirror monster that unfortunately is no longer around, but he doesn't know that. But also, if you can just shoot somebody, just shoot somebody.
Yeah.
The option is there.
I won't defend many of the villain's decisions, but I will say Whole Horse is an idiot. like canonically kind of just a big idiot.
Yeah, but so is literally
You know?
every single villain in this whole show. All of them are so monumentally stupid.
Yes.
And it's frustrating. It's frustrating because that's been an ongoing problem with all of JoJo's, even with the one villain that was specifically created to avoid that trope and then fell into that trope. Still not over that. And then once Whole Horse realizes that his mirror friend is dead and no longer around, he's like, shit, well, I can't fight on my own. I need to be a duos act, which is a fine little character trait. Though, homie, you just have a gun. You can just shoot people. And you control the bullet. Like, you're a cowboy who has, like, Yondu powers from the MCU, where you can just control that bullet, bada bing, bada boom. You can kill people very easily. I don't understand. They confront him. They're like, hey, fuck you, we're gonna mess you up. But then the child bride from earlier shows up and is like, no, don't kill him. And he escapes. And everybody kind of lets him escape. Like, she stops Polnareff, right, from killing him. The whole crew is there at that point. And Grandpa JoJo, Delinquent JoJo, Kakyoin, they all just watch Whole Horse leave? Why? What?
I mean, what are the chances he's going to come back in a future episode?
100%! He killed their closest ally! And they're just like, what are you going to do? And they're not even that broken up about it. They're like, yeah, we buried Abdul. It's like, is that it? That all the emotion you can muster? Polnareff had emotion. Appreciated that. Kakyoin had more solemn emotion. The JoJo's? Don't give a shit. The JoJo's? Worst part of this show. Amazingly, I haven't had to talk about either of them a ton thus far. Which I think, it's to the better of the show. Real weird end, and then it turns out that the child bride, her blood latches on to one of them, and she also is actually working for Dio, even though she was, like, being manipulated by the cowboy and everything, but it's all a part of Dio's master plan, or some shit. I don't know. It's very weird. It's not good. I think what you need is, you need a co-writer. You need somebody, who's the author of JoJo's?
That would be Hirohiko Araki.
Alright, you need someone who goes to Araki and is like, hey, let's work together on this. Araki gives a bunch of ideas, right? Because he's an ideas guy. He has a lot of interesting ideas, a lot of creative, fascinating ideas. And then his co-writer is the one who pieces it all together, polishes the details, makes it make sense, keeps him in check a little bit, right? And then you'd have something astounding. Right now, you got a fucking mess. You got an absolute clusterfuck. That has some decent moments here and there, has moments of strong visual flair, more so in the art than the animation. There were a couple times that they used CGI and definitely had the, models moving along the CGI surface and sliding around a little bit. And the battle sequences, it being just super move after super move after super move, usually means those are pretty uninteresting. But if you take a still from JoJo's, then chances are it's going to look visually strong, right? The art is stronger than the animation. The art is pretty high quality. Some of the characters have good moments. Polnareff actually had character development. Actually had a layered, emotional character moment. One of the very few in JoJo's. That's great to see. That's fantastic. Kakyoin doesn't really have much character. I've said all that JoJo's character is. Grandpa JoJo also doesn't have much character besides being vaguely xenophobic. Abdul didn't have a ton of character either. Unfortunately, Polnareff is the only one thus far who has a significant amount of character to him. Not ideal, I would say. Overall, I would say that with Stardust Crusaders, probably worse than Season 2. Better than Season 1, which was hot fucking garbage. Or Part 1, rather. But worse than Part 2, which had me believing for a hot minute.
Interesting. And I don't know how to come to a conclusion on this, because, unfortunately, Remington, like I said, Part 3 has 48 episodes total.
It's way too much.
We've done just under a fourth of them. So you got a good first chunk of it, and you got a lot of the stuff out of the way. But theoretically, that means that there's room to grow. You've seen a spark of inspiration here and there, right? You don't have complete lost hope for this whole franchise, right?
I feel like I mostly do. Because I've watched so much JoJo's at this point. I've watched so much.
Not really.
What do you mean, not really?
Not really.
I've watched so goddamn much. Look,
I mean, you've only seen a grand total of, 34 episodes?
oh my god.
Over the span of 6 years?
Look, all right. Instead of 34 episodes of goddamn JoJo's, I could have instead watched 4 seasons of Mike Flanagan amazing high quality television that actually means something and is well done. All right, there's just better ways to spend my time. This
And yet, this is one of the most beloved franchises of all time.
it's style and nostalgia, dear friend. It's because it has its own specific style, which I have been in praise of in all of the JoJo's episodes, right? And nostalgia. It does not stand up. It does not stand the test of time. It feels horrendously
You
dated.
say nostalgia. Nostalgia maybe if you're Japanese, but JoJo only had a Western resurgence in 2013. And that's why English-speaking community, by and large, is a pretty big fan of it as a whole. I mean, I guess that is 10 years ago, but
I think that's in the nostalgia range.
I don't want to think about that being in the nostalgia range, Rem. That doesn't make me happy.
I got terrible news. It definitely is.
No, I don't think that's true. I refuse to admit that's true, Rem.
And I'm sure that there's still going to be people who are like, oh, well, it's really only the second half of part 3, or it's really only season, or only part 4 or 5 or 6 or 7. Only those that are really, really when it gets good. But motherfuckers, you've been saying this to me every time I've watched any amount of JoJo's. Maybe we just need to come to a realization as I repeat the common themes, right? Structurally, it's tried 3 different things in its 3 parts. I think that this one and part 1 are both extremely weak structurally. This one with its episodic nature does mean that you can. I feel like you can skip everything I've seen. And I hypothesize if you started part 3 on episode 12, you wouldn't be very lost. And that episodic nature, it can work. I don't think it necessarily works amazingly here. Part 1 was endlessly plotting and felt like just a struggle to watch any of. Part 2 had a pretty good structure, was working well before it really shat the bed. So the only hope JoJo's can have is if it's like, oh yeah, it's like season 2, but much better. And also, the things that make JoJo's JoJo and have been common through all 3 parts, a lot of those need to change. Keep the style that's been consistent, alright, that's a thumbs up. The shitty battles, the shitty characterization, the shitty relationships, the god-awful justifications, the terrible villains, all of that needs to be scrapped like a motherfucker. And if they are not, more JoJo's is not gonna change anything.
Oh, God. And I hate to say it, but the only solution for you to find that out is for us to revisit and keep watching until you make your final conclusions by the time you... Because right now, Remington, there are 6 full parts that are fully animated.
If we revisit JoJo's, I think we should skip the rest of season 3.
I disagree.
But it's so bad.
Fundamentally, I disagree.
I'm gonna give the same notes. All right, look, Shaun.
You're not.
We have a
finite
amount of time on this earth. All right.
This is
so
true.
We can do,
but that'll piss people off way more than that.
3 more episodes of JoJo's Part 2, of which I will reiterate the same exact shit 3 more times. Or we could say, all right, Part 3, not for him. Let's move on.
Oh, dear.
If we ever decide to revisit it, all right, there's not going to be infinite episodes of this podcast. There's not yet. Just like we need to spend our time on Earth wisely and not with a bunch of bland filler episodes of trash anime, so too should we make each episode of the podcast meaningful and matter and not just cover episodes that will be the exact same as shit we've already done. That's my argument. That's what I'm going to posit. If we ever decide to revisit JoJo's, I'm sure you'll make me at some point. I think it would be in the best interest of literally everybody to just skip ahead.
How about a compromise, Remington?
Oh, God.
Because genuinely, everybody will be really pissed.
They'll be pissed if we do it!
Yeah, but at least you'll have the justification behind it. Like, they're gonna be upset, be like, but you're telling me you guys missed the best parts in the second half of season 3. And I'm like, yeah. But tell you what, here's my compromise, and we'll work off of your theory, right? So, part 3 of JoJo's is divided into 2 separate seasons, okay?
Yeah.
Right, so it's got the first 24 episodes, which is establishing the premise, getting the gang together, and going the whole distance, okay? And by the end of episode 24, they are right about to Egypt, essentially.
Sure.
The remaining 24 episodes are entering Egypt and finishing up the story, okay?
Yeah.
So, in theory, what I could suggest, since you made it to episode 11, in an ideal world, the easiest way to jump ahead and get the most that will piss off the least amount of people is if we jumped straight to episode 21 of season 2, and then I cherry pick episode 21 of the first part, episode 21 of part 3, and then I cherry pick the rest of season 2 of part 3, and basically skip to the most impactful stuff and get to the end. Testing your theory of, hey, you can jump in this at any point and still and that way it's, we're staying true to the fact that this is like a Saturday morning cartoon where you should be able to follow it no matter where you jump in.
Sure, and we'll even say, hey, lovely listeners, if you're an avid JoJo's fan, right, and you're like, all right, I think there's still a chance, then curate out of the remaining things in part 3, curate like the 10 best episodes that I have not seen yet, and be like, all right, if there were around 10, with a margin of error, give or take 2 or so, here's the about 10 episodes. These are the ones you should watch. Here's how it should go. Feel free to send those over to nmanofcontext@gmail.com to help Shaun in his curation efforts and help him refine a little bit of list. So that way you won't be angry that like, oh, well, the only reason Remington had this opinion because he didn't see X, Y, or Z. All right?
Because genuinely, if we just skip to part 4, which arguably I think might be my favorite part, I like the JoJo, I like the thought, I like the premise, it's more grounded, it has more interesting characters overall in my opinion, but like the people who... Look,
how would you rank the first 3 parts?
First 3 parts in order? For me, it's probably 2, 3, 1.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, because like the problems you had with part 2, I didn't have any issues with, really. And the problems you have with part 3, aside from all the obvious dated stuff, again, don't have as much issue. But I also have the knowledge of having watched all of part 3. And I will also say there's a lot of people who, go back to the manga side of things and say that JoJo's is much better as a read than a watch for a lot of people, which I can understand that thought process as well, because Araki's art is really solid, and it's much shorter in that regard.
Yeah.
Genuinely, just looking through the episode list right now, Remington, I would show you, starting at episode 21 of that, I would show you 2 episodes that are kind of important, under the premise that we're skipping everything physically possible in season 1. I think there are 2 episodes that I would say are necessary, just for character reasons. And then with that, I would say 1, 2, 3, 4. I could probably show you 9 episodes and give you everything that people are asking for, just off the top of my head.
Okay, all right. Feel free to still send those curated lists with whatever arguments you need to make, and Shaun will take those into consideration, and then eventually we'll end up right here again. Time is a flat circle.
Yep, and enjoy sleeping on the couch tonight, because I'm fairly certain your girlfriend is a big fan of this series.
Oh yeah, 100%. I'm already, already nice and prepared, already laid out all the bedding.
You're in danger, my guy.
Yeah.
Because part 3 has a lot of great moments, and a lot of fans are diehards of it, but I would never say it's my favorite part. My favorite part is probably 4, genuinely, because of the range and scope of it. I think part 3 is fun, and as long as you're not too, Remington, you can probably get some good fun out of part 3.
Look, if you're shonen trash, there's no reason for you to dislike this. If you like all the shit I've bashed before, sure, you'll probably like this too. Like this.
Okay. Well, then here's a question, Rem, that will definitely piss off some people. If we have to visit this or Attack on Titan first, which would you prefer?
God. Oh, Jesus Christ.
What's the opposite of a Sophie's choice?
Just take my firstborn.
No, that's a Sophie's choice. We can't do that.
Oh, no. I guess I would choose JoJo's, but, like, it all feels frivolous. All is vanity, Shaun.
Well, hey, I'm gonna call that a win for the JoJo's community, and another L for Attack on Titan fans, because you know what, we like dishing those out.
Yeah,
here.
we do.
We do. And people are like, "Will you stop bashing on Attack on Titan?" No, we won't.
I will stop bashing on Attack on Titan if Attack on Titan gets better.
Well, good work, Rem. You've just guaranteed that we have to revisit it now. Like the fact that you said that, and the fact that the whole series is completely finished now, means we kinda have to revisit it. But that will be a distant future thing, probably, because I don't want to rewatch any more of it if I don't have to. So with that in mind, Remington, care to guess what the mal score for the first part of Part 3 of JoJo's is?
Fucking 9.94, fucker. It's...
Okay, be honest. Give me your genuine answer, because you know for a fact that it's not that high.
I think it's gonna be 8.22.
A much more reasonable guess, Remington. Because with 854,000 ratings, the first part of Part 3 is sitting nice and pretty at 8.10.
Yeah.
Because people fucking love JoJo's, and you will never be able to change that, I'm afraid, my man. But with that in mind,
and look, hey, if you're a 17-year-old
yep.
from the 90s, I get it. If you're in 2024,
just because that's the age I was when I watched JoJo's for the first time,
guys,
does not mean
they make good shows now. I don't. Like, you're gonna be so fucking hyped when you learn about the actual good shows that exist out there, alright?
Oh dear. Okay. With that, thank you so much for tuning in to our 300th episode. It's a beefy one, folks, because, that's what you asked for. But if you enjoy Remington's opinion never wavering, then please head on over to wherever you get your podcast and leave us a review. They mean the world to us, and we do read every single one. And we technically even have a YouTube channel where we post our podcast, so if you want to go there and do the YouTube stuff, you can. No pressure, but it's an option. And who knows, maybe we'll actually add more than just the podcast there someday. We'll see. And if that is not enough for you, you can head on over to twitch.tv/animeoutofcontext, where you can watch myself, Dylan, and Remington occasionally play video games very poorly. But if that is still not enough, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/animeoutofcontext, where you gain access to all the lovely bonus material, including having the opportunity to be thanked live on the podcast. And Rem, who are we thanking on this 300th episode?
All right, I do want to know. There was an issue in episode 299, and so these are going to be the readings for both episode 299 and 300. What this means is, there might be some weirdness going on. There'll be a little bit of repetition from week to week, but it also means that, hey, you guys get a little sneak peek of what episode of what episode 300 is if you're listening on episode 299. So that's kind of cool. That's kind of neat. You might be hyped if you can piece it together, which you almost certainly will be able to. So moving on, as always, we would like to send our regards to all of our bland bitch protagonists as well as our magical girls, who we really appreciate. But moving on, we get to our yandere waifus, who are sending their tendrils so far down our throats.
Oh dear.
And if we remove them, then we die. And on that list, we have My Name is First Now, Bitch. Oops, sorry. I was just overly excited. You're not a bitch. Please don't hurt me. Zombie Stomp, Xanix, Yandere Neko, Why Shaun, When You Wish Upon a Haruhi, Well, Stuff My Ass and Call Me Cork Borkner, Week 5 of asking for a DBZ review, finally, Shaun, Walk Me Up Gently, Waiting for Rem's OnlyFans, Uwu, or I'll Find You, Uwu, Utah number 1, Unhinged Prex, Totally God's Angel, Titan CNH, this show is a ploy to get Joe Biden reelected. You figured us out. We were hired on.
We mentioned Sophie's choices earlier.
We were hired on by the Biden administration. We're just fed shills this whole time. Some might wonder.
We're trying to get the
some
lids
might wonder
on his
how
side.
how is this accomplishing those goals? Great question. So next we have the Susanator, the pocket big hole you need in your pocket. The Danish Viking will conquer the world with Roronoa Zoro as my navigator. That guy who doesn't drink too much. It's not an addiction. I can quit whenever I want. Thanks for inviting me over, Shaun, but can I please leave your Documakara fort now? Turban, Tails Williams, Super Zoo, Stacy's mom. Someone asked me to name a greater philosophy than Nietzsche. I can't. Snaky Pie, Shrek is love, Shrek is life. JoJo Addict, who doesn't need help, just more manga to read and anime to watch. Shaun wants to give Spoon Man a thank you.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
Great mix of two memes. Great blend.
Two memes.
Phenomenally done.
Two memes forced by you.
Matt's, hey, I can't help it if I'm a meme machine, all right? I generate them so easily. The things I say, they resonate with the people, all right? That's why I'm the voice of the people, because what I say resonates. Such as Spoon Man and thanking you.
Christ.
Shaun, the Shaun block is the best part of the Patreon reads. Shaun wants to taste Elf Mommy's delicious dungeon. Shaun, the nacho dip was ruined because of you. Someone could have had a nut allergy. Oh, God. Shaun saying area in general on 2x speed sounds like Aryan general. Shaun ruined my happy sugar life when I just really loved the Spoon Man. Shaun puts the bar in Cappy, the Spoon Man comes. Shaun, the roly-poly Rollins. Shaun, happy 300 episodes. Shaun adding to the Shaun block. Shaun, I need more sensual. Shaun, close to the mic. Shaun had a lass that could go all night, but he got out of breath when he had to blow her up. Shaun can do these nuts. Shadow, Cryptid MILF, Seraphim, the Shark Plushie, Sugoi to Kai, that's what she said. Say hi to that guy's girlfriend, think it's Haley. Ross Palmer, Rico the Don Hero, Randon Williams, Remington is right. Rem uses the trumps of liberation to free all weeps from bad anime. Rem said April Fool's 2 had a musical episode, so here's $10. Rem ram rim ram rum rum rim rum rum rim rum rim ram rim rum rim ram rum rim.
Are you okay?
How was your name, dude?
It sounded like you were having a stroke.
Rem doesn't completely hit my favorite shows. Rem and Ram are best waifus, and I will murder all who disagree. Pro tips out of context: the moneyed and powerful are only powerful because we agree to their paradigm. We can stop at any time. Professor Fox, Paco Musico, No Waifu No Laifu, 907, Nick, Nice Late Stage Dukes Makes a Man Go Do, Necrodancer 1415. My new manga is about the search for a fabled hidden stash of yellow soap. It's called Golden Kamei, says Miska. Mikeka 7 Hierto, Murbacorn Fire, making Patreon accounts until Shaun shows Rem Healer Girl 14. Oh no. 14?
No, there are not 14. They are gaslighting us. They have to be. They are gaslighting us.
Oh.
They would not give us that much money for one anime.
They shouldn't. Bing fake mal account so I can rate Forest Fire 5 10 out of 10. Macaroni Uchisa, Link Jokerl, Kylo, King Rich Rock, Cassidy, Just Watch SAO, Alice Underworld Part 2, Episode 1, Yikes, do. Jergidius, Joshua D, Jax, Jam Hands, imagine a sequel to E.T., that's a horror comedy. Icon Scout, I'm technically committing a felony to listen to y'all at work. I was hoping Rem would dislike even more than he did and validate my opinion. I Remington Chase, and once again reminding you that Shaun thinks you should fuck your sister. Glenn Michael Dolan, Ginger Weeb, Furble the Merble Durble Shaburble, Fantide, Esteban Espino, Erica McCorkle, Edgy Awkward Girl, born and raised in a Roman Catholic household, and Castlevania is a work of art. Dungeon Meshi is almost as good as SAO.
Yikes.
Do, it's Spoon Man. Domo, Dillian looks like a modern Nathan Explosion. Daniel Riot, Daddy Rem, tell me a bedtime story. Countrified Goth has emerged from her depression cocoon and decided to change her name. Chungus Wungus Dungus, Chris Thorstad, Cheese Monkey, Celestial Fox, Cat Girls are best girls, so give them cute little paws. Brockhart for Jew Dudes running away from the Monty Python Rabbit. Bling Spoon Man, Bling Spoon Spoon Man, Bling Spoon Spoon Capybara. Bert Bartholomew Flem, Bento Kato, a bi girl seeking tickets to Yamfest. Been a while since I've changed my name on here, but I've got a third 4.0, I can't believe it. I'm also changing my major from funeral. Angel for a good cause, and every day that Raven comes to visit. Amazing Muffin, AJ Tunnels, Aisha Gudgy, Adele Girl, Doc. Now we move on to the Boy Wizard tier, where everybody will be given a random color combined with an archetype, kind of like tarot. So, you know, it works.
Okay.
Who does Shaun like more, Judy Hopps or Elf Milfs? You get the Beige Attic. Start off weird. Viper, you get the Jet Black God.
I think that's just what we call Dylan
Vincent
in private time.
Calabrese, you get the Pine Green Prince, which actually kind of works.
Yeah, that's pretty solid, actually. That's a D&D thing. I'm gonna just write that down for later.
Yeah. That Mouse Girl, you get the Olive Green Advocate. Thank you, the podcast, it helps my mental health. You get the Copper Brown Gossip. Silent Secondary, you're going to get the Crimson Provocateur.
Valid.
Yeah. Shaun hopped off board in search of all those One Piece MILFs. You're going to get Sand Yellow Angel. Ryan and Melena are eagerly awaiting for the 300th episode. You get the Ruby Red Prostitute Guardian of Fate.
Oh, Roxanne, what are you doing? You don't have to put on that red light.
Roscop, you get the Brown Green. Not a pretty color. Brown Green Goddess.
Well, at least you're a goddess.
I suppose so.
Little things.
Remington Chase's laugh is my favorite sound. Thank you. Some positive affirmation about it for once.
No.
You get the Slate Gray Alchemist.
I'd watch that.
Poopy Butthole, you are gonna get... There we go. Alright, Poopy Butthole, you are going to get the Midnight Blue Queen. Nightshade Blade wants to gush over magical girls. You're going to get the Fuchsia Artist. Monogatari has everything you guys said you like in an anime. This week they do some things a very different way. You're going to get the Snowy Wounded Healer. Mike, you're going to get the Spring Ring Rebel.
It sounds like a wrestler.
Miguel Delion, you get the Papaya Whip Olympian. Making new Patreon accounts until Shaun shows Rem Healer Girl 03. Oh, fuck. So they're on multiple tiers.
Oh no. What are they doing?
Yeah, okay. All right. They're definitely... Oh my god. All right. 03, 04, 02, and 01. You're going to get Violet, Maroon, Plum, and Dark Orchid hedonists. So you get 4 different hedonists of different colors.
That's actually our podcast's fan name. They're all the hedonists.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you have to be one to listen to us.
Latinos had a time skip until next anime, so filler coming soon. You get the Lawn Green Saboteur. Kugor, you are going to...
That's just the neighbor who hates how perfect his neighbor's lawn is.
Yeah. Kugor, you get the Yellow Beggar. I finally remembered to change this. Now what to make it? Spicitis. You're going to get the Cadet Blue Heroine. Drew, you said my name thrice, so you doomed. You get the Coral Samaritan. Krosker, you get the Aquamarine Holy Fool. Crimson Reapers, just because of the scythes, you're going to get the Navy Liberator. Carver 271, you're going to get the Goldenrod Knight. Blood Cell, not the protein shake loving, gym addicted, always angry white ones. The Gamer Sup Scuzzling Angels, the red ones. You're going to get the Dim Gray Judge. Bling bang bang bling bang bang bling bang bang born. Bling bang bang bling bang bang bling bang bang born. You are going to get the Seafoam Mediator. Beethoven 1201, you're going to get the Indigo Martyr.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Anonymous, you get the Peach Puff Mystic. Anime mashup of the week, The Girl I Like Forgot Love is War. You get the Linen Bullion Coward. Animated Z, you get the Bisque Entrepreneur.
I too feel like a bisque entrepreneur. I love a good bisque.
Second to none, you get the Orchid Philosopher. Now we move on to the inappropriate Joey Wheeler tier, where Shaun, as Joey Wheeler, will tell you the name of your power, and I will tell you what it does. And you have to follow a different naming convention than I did, of course.
I mean, that's pretty easy.
All right, cool. We start with we start with Shaun awoke my slumbering womanhood with his double tall loin latte. Starbuck, I cried.
Dear God. Okay. All right.
Holy fuck.
So I'm giving you the name and you're describing the power?
Yeah.
All right. You're going to get it's called Funk Wave.
You can simultaneously control the ocean and also make it some dope-ass colors.
Alright.
Next we got Rowdio.
You get Muse.
Your thing is you can control the emotions of those around you. Next we got Fisher's Fritz, Fisher's Fritz.
Smashing Pumpkins.
Your thing is that you are just the pumpkin from Yu-Gi-Oh. That's it. That's the whole. That's what you are.
That's just you. You're big zombie pumpkin. That's what you are. Congratulations.
Next we got my dear old mom.
Your mom is gonna get Fallout Boy.
You have the power to nuke any country you want, but only once. Don't worry, once will be enough, because after that, probably everywhere it's getting nuked. Finally, we got Blue Baron 15.
You're going to get 30 seconds to Mars.
Your thing is that you have super speed and you can fly, but you can't like stop yourself actively when flying. So good luck. You either need to slow down naturally with air resistance or unnaturally with impact.
Well, if you think about it, impact is pretty natural.
Thank you for tuning in.
It's just what happens after the impact that you're not so thrilled about.
If you want to reach out, whether it's for a comment, question, feedback, or recommendation, you can tweet us at AnimeConPod on Twitter or send an email over onto animeoutofcontext@gmail.com.
Once again, guys, thank you all so much for tuning in. We love and appreciate you very, very much. And as always, don't fuck your sister.
Do 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 do.